Hey, this is a trunk from a Bradford pear tree that was standing dead for probably around 2 years maybe, that I cut down, and I'm going to take it and turn it into bowl blanks. I've already cut a little bit of it off and experimented with it, and it has some really nice wood in it. We're just going to take a look at it real quick and then we'll start cutting it up. You can see it's got some rod in it. It's got some rod in it right here. It's got some cool looking grain to it. And then this end here, you can see right in here, it's got some spalting going on in it. And some of this wood is kind of pithy, I guess is the word you'd use for it. So I'm going to take it and cut it up, and I've measured it out. And from that cut right there back, it's about 36 inches. And then I'm around 12 inches at the widest spot right there. So I think what I'm going to do to get the most out of it is I'm going to cut this length down here, start at this end here, and go at 12-inch lengths up to this cut here, and then get 3 12-inch sections out of it, and then we'll take it and see what we can make out of it. We're obviously going to have to cut around some rot and stuff like that, but we'll take them and see what the best we can do with them is. Okay, before I get started on cutting this, I just wanted to show you, this is a piece of this from one of the cut-offs of a blank that I took off of it the first time. And I just wanted to show you what the grain looks like on this wood. It's got some spalting running all over it, all kinds of different, that pithy looking area ended up making some really cool looking grains. It's got some spalting down in the base, and obviously, as you can see, it developed lots of cracks once it started finishing drying out, but I came in and put CA glue in those, and it appears to have stopped the cracks. So cracks don't bother me as long as the bowl stays together. Just adds a little bit of character. And this was a semi-live edge. The bark stayed on. This is just a piece. This is a bowl that I could just get out of a piece that I had. So anyway, that's just rough turned. I think it's dry now. I'm probably going to take it up and finish turning it in the next day or two. I've been weighing it. It doesn't appear to be losing any more weight. So it still held a little bit of moisture, probably just from rain getting into it, but it dried out relatively quick. So I think I'll be able to use these blanks pretty quickly after I cut them. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that, and then we'll get started cutting these up into blanks. Okay, I've got this thing, got some boards underneath it so I can cut through on it. I've got a mark here at 12 inches, a mark here at 12 inches, a mark here at 12 inches. So I'm going to cut these off, get it into the individual blanks, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, here's my 3 blanks. As you can see, it's still got lots of spalting inside of it. It's got some cool grain. I can feel the moisture in them. There's still quite a bit of moisture running through the center of this trunk. I don't think any of it is, quote, green wood. It's just moisture that's soaked into the log, so it should come back out relatively quickly. I'm going to take them and do some studying on them and figure out what my best way to cut blanks out of these is, where I can get the best looking bowl and the most bowls out of these particular blanks. So I'm going to look these over for a little while, and then I'll come back and we'll figure out how to cut them. Okay, this first one, I'm looking at it, in my pith is right here, so it's pretty far off centered. So I'm looking at, if I want a good size bowl, I'm looking at this top section right here, and then maybe a small section bowl here. And I'm looking at both sides of it. I'm going to try and rotate it exactly 180 degrees. And I come up with the same thing on this side. My pith is here. Big size bowl up here, and this wood all looks in pretty good shape. But if you look right here on this side, I've got a pretty good deep set section of rot in here. And that's a lot how I came up with that smaller bowl earlier, because I had some bad sections over in here, so I ended up with a real skinny bowl out of that section. So this one may be a similar log to that, but all this wood here appears to be pretty good. So what I want to do here is I'm thinking we'll make a light mark here first with my regular pencil. Just above my pith here is my cut line, and that gives me enough for a pretty nice live edge bowl, or I could even do a really deep normal bowl, which I don't know, that may be something too. That's something I'll have to consider. I'll just look at it for a while after I get it cut and see how it dries. But that might not be bad either, because if I cut my normal bowl through this way, I'm going to have all of this spalting that's through here is going to be inside my bowl. So that may be a better alternative for this one, is to get away from a live edge bowl and turn that one that way. It'll give me a good sized bowl, and that should have all this spalting right inside there. Alright, so I'm going to try best I can. I'm going to make a mark down here, so I'll see if I'm kind of in the same spot when I flip this thing over. I know it's not real technical, but it's going to get me close. So rotate it around, move my marks up. Marks up here, right here. I'll go across those marks. I'm right on my pith, so maybe I want to go up just a little bit. So let's call it right there. Gives me the same, still got a lot of that spalting running through there. Okay, so I think that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to go for this line right here, and if I look down, that's generally the line I want to cut along. Okay, so that's generally the line I want to cut along, which that's going to be to get on the other side of that pith over there. And I can always fix this later. I'm going to want to cut my line. I'm going to cut in, instead of cutting straight down, I'm going to cut over just a little bit. And I guess that's from twisting this log or whatever. So I'm going to get this set up, ready to cut, and we'll come back and cut it. Okay, so let's look at our off side, see how we did on the pith. There's my pith right there. Yeah, I cut through my pith on that side, but I can fix that. So I still got pith on this side. I actually missed my mark pretty good. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and try and clean that up. That worked out perfect, and it went down almost to nothing there. So I should really be relatively even on my pith now. So let's see what we got here. We got 11 inches that way, 11 and a half inches basically from here to where the bark is. Which we're going to lose some of this outside here anyway, because obviously this outside is going to be more rotted. So we're looking at a good 11 inches starting out with on the bowl size. I'll take it and round it off on the bandsaw up at the wood shop. So we got, and I really think the idea here on this one's going to be, we're going to make the bowl this way, and we'll get all this spalting inside the bowl. We won't cut much of that out. Got some cool looking grain right there. I mean, that'd make a cool base too with all that, but I think this particular one, the way the spalting runs, I think right in here is the way to make the bowl on that one. So we'll make a regular traditional bowl out of that one, hopefully catch a lot of that spalting. Now this other cut off piece, I don't know about it. It's got a lot of rotting in it. It's thin. We may be able to make a real shallow bowl. I still obviously have to cut the pith out of that one. But it's got a lot of rotting in it, but I'll let it dry out, see what it looks like, see how it dries, and then I'll be able to make something small out of it. Maybe a real thin bowl, you know, a real shallow bowl or something like that. I may be able to make something out of it, but I know I got at least one good one out of that. Okay, blank number 2. Here's our pith. Center of the pith right there. You kind of want to do, I'll put this board over it. Okay, well that, just stick it somewhere over that pith. Okay, well that's nice and round there, and then a dip and a drop here. That's not very even. That's really crazy over on this side. So I just start spinning this thing around till I see some form of symmetric look to it. When I get right about there, I kind of like that, because now I got all of this is pretty symmetric this way, and this is relatively symmetric that way, and my pith is pretty much, I mean it's long this way, but going right there, I don't like the way that looks. It's not going to make a good bowl. So that's my first look, is always biggest bowl out of it, but I think I'm going to end up with a really weird shaped bowl out of that if I try and go that way on this particular one. So I think when I'm starting to look at it right here, this is pretty symmetric here other than that little deal there, but depending on how I do it, I can cut that out. And this is relatively close on this side. So I'm thinking initially, let's go with our regular pencil to start with. Let's drop down. Let's see what it looks like on the other side. Like I said, that's it. The first one I did of these, I got in trouble because I didn't check both sides good. And I had a twist in the log. And it really screwed me up when I got turning. So we'll go back here. And here. Okay, so that gives us pretty similar. Round. It's a little bit different. It juts out a little bit right here, but I think that's going to work. And then this is still relatively symmetric this way. So I think I'll be able to get 2 bowls out of this one. So let's go ahead and make a mark on this one. The pencil needs to be sharpened. So we got that one there. and then there. So we're going to go with that one. If I go straight down, it appears to be straight down. I need to be more like this. I'm going to go sharpen my pencil. Okay, this is my initial mark. Right here. And right here. And that's the one that goes pretty much straight down and hits that mark. Pretty much straight down and hits that mark. So I think I need to go a little bit more like this right here. That needs to be more my mark that I'm trying to hit. So the best I can do here is take that mark and that mark. That's the mark I need to hit going down. So let's take it. See what we can get out of it. Okay, hit that mark, and I did a real good job, I think, staying on that line. So let's see how we did on this other side. Missed it on the back side. So let's go back. This is our initial big blank we were wanting, and I did get, actually I got more pith out on that back side, so I think this one's going to work. Let's see what we got. We got about probably the deepest 5 inches of good wood there. A little bit less than 5 there, so we can go probably maybe 4.5 inches deep. And I don't know yet. I'm going to look at this one some more, figure out if we want to go bowl that way or bowl this way with the live edge. Probably on this one, I think it'll make a nice bowl that way. Still got some pithing, not pithing, but we got some of the spalting and stuff go down in here. The big thing is going to be how much of these cracks I can get out, because I don't want these cracks coming up in there. But I think I'll be able to turn those cracks out and get a decent looking bowl out of that one. This piece here, we left a little bit of pith on there. Left a lot of pith on that one. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to come back, I'm going to make another cut right here. Right here on that one. And then we're barely to the pith here. So my goal is going to be to hit it right about here. So as I'm cutting here, I'm going to try and cut at an angle this way, going back that way to try and hit that other piece. And I think I can still get a pretty good bowl out of this one. So here we go here. We go here, and I didn't really get much pith out of that other side. I can straighten that one up. I'll probably straighten that one up on the bandsaw. What I'll do, I'll put a flat on this side, put it up on the bandsaw, and cut that little bit of pith out on that one. Only get so specific with a chainsaw. And I may take this, I may be able to get a couple pin blanks or something out of the sides of this. This is good wood here to the sides outside of the pith. Center of the log. Alright, so let's go to the last one, see if we can get on it. Like this one I got a pith right here. Pith right here. So this one, if I go outside of that pith right there, I got my deep side, going back to my method of looking at the biggest side first. The biggest side is probably right there. And I guess if I wanted to do a bowl that way, I could go really deep. And I get pretty symmetric this way. It gives me a little bit wider bowl, but still pretty deep. So let's see what the back side looks like. Try and flip this over exactly 180 degrees for comparison's sake. Before we were looking at maybe right there. It's not quite as symmetric here because of the log twists a little bit as it grows up. The bark twists as it goes up. We go back this way though. It's still got a nice deep bowl. So I think that is my method here. It's more symmetrical going here than it is here. So we got our pith here. Going to come up about an inch or so off of that pith. And we'll make a red line. And we'll go down close as I can get to 90 degrees. Make a mark. Close as I can get to 90 degrees here. And make a mark, flip it over. There's our mark. There's our mark. That takes us back pretty close to the same spot. So we're going to make a mark here. And then I'll come up here. Red line to red line. This is what I'm going to shoot for going down. Okay. Alright, let's cut that one, see how we do. Okay, we're about an inch off on our pith there. And right through the middle of the pith on that one. Okay, that's a little easier said than done. But we did get our pith off on this one. We just got this one, this side. See, I missed my line pretty good there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and try and trim that line out. And I think I can do that one and make it pretty easy. Okay, I'll take that and clean that up on the bandsaw again. Maybe I should do my final cuts on the bandsaw. It's hard to do with a chainsaw. But anyway, that's going to make a nice bowl, I think. right across here, right across here. Again, lots of spalting inside of it. Not getting anything natural edge out of these big blanks, but I'm going to get a lot of good spalting down inside the bowl itself. And this piece over here, I'll probably trim this one off on the bandsaw. What I'll do, I'll run a flat on it right here. I'll cut a flat on it here first, and then I can put it up against the fence on the bandsaw and go ahead and trim that down to where I want it. Or depending on how I want to cut it, I could always turn it down off the lathe too and turn that pith off. But the big thing, I need to get that off, and I'll probably do that tomorrow. Get that pith out of there before it starts trying to crack. This one here, it's way bigger on this side than it is on this side, but I could probably still get a small bowl. And I think the way this one runs through here, I could probably get a nice live edge bowl out of this. So probably what I'm going to get, my big sides, my first sides I cut, I'm going to get normal bowls out of. And I could probably get small natural edge bowls out of the other ones. This bark is so old. Going back on looking on this one, obviously the bark's not going to stay on, but that's okay. It still looks cool. So I got 6 good blanks out of that, and whole point with this video is just plan your blanks out. If you just go, okay, here's my pith, I'm going to cut right in the middle, you might end up something that, especially with wood like this, I find the best example I can use of how this stuff twists. That's a pretty good example there. You see right here, you see how high this is compared to what this is. You can see it across there. This wood twists a lot. So if you just go willy-nilly cutting across there, you may end up trying to do a live edge bowl and end up with a wing that's so low the bowl's not usable. So whole point of this, plan your cuts out as best you can, and you'll probably get more usable bowls out of them. So I'm going to take some of these, and I'll probably rough turn them, and then I'll see if I can do a video of rough turning 1 or 2 of them too and post that. I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe.